Hey, what's up guys, it's Mike with Alpha Reptile back with another video today, and today we have the last Q&A Tuesday of May Madness. We made it. Basically, if you don't know what Q&A Tuesday is, it doesn't really matter what questions you have. If you want them answered, I will answer them down below, but it is the end of Q&A Tuesday, so keep that in mind. May Madness is almost coming to an end, which is kind of a nice and a not so nice feeling, but I recognized a lot of you guys, and maybe I'll give you guys some shout outs in like the last video of May Madness or something like that. So keep up with the awesome comments and let's get into your questions. The first question comes from Thomas Van Ostrand. He says, are bromeliads easy to grow? I'm thinking of setting up a dart frog enclosure. I started off with Ufaga pumilio. What's your favorite frog? That's a big leap into frog keeping. My favorite frog is from the same genus as that. They're probably the blue histrionica or the yellow lamani. I know Troy Goldberg has convinced me of their beauty, and I agree, they are really, really cool frogs. So that's probably my one recommendation. If you have any questions about growing bromeliads, I do have a video all about bromeliads and like their biology and stuff, but I understand if you haven't watched that. So yes, bromeliads, if you have high humidity and decent light, are very easy to grow. Chuck Hall Scorpion King asked the next question, and he says, he's commenting about one of the live streams that I was doing on Instagram, which if you haven't followed me, links here and in the description down below for you guys to go check out. But he asks, how did the enclosure finally turn out that I was repairing the background on? And that was actually the one that I was going to try and bring to the Reptile Expo that happened last weekend. But unfortunately, the reparation on the background didn't end up turning out as I wanted it to. Basically, I just didn't have time to finish the tank. So it's doing well. I'll probably end up finishing it either today or tomorrow, setting up the drainage layer and the background and everything. Man, you are just going crazy. What's up? But yeah, thanks Chuck. That's kind of, I guess, the answer to that is just that it's coming along, but it's still not done yet. Speaking of Troy Goldberg, in my last Q&A Tuesday, I mentioned the Cruzio Hyla craspidopus, and I called them the fringe tree frog. Thank you, Troy, for making it evident in the comments down below. That is not what they're called. They are called the fringed leaf frog. So I wanted to make that evident to you guys. Troy's a good buddy of mine, but man, he gets under my skin. Alrighty, JTB Reptiles, who has been a long-time supporter of the channel, thank you, man. He asks a few questions today. He says, is there a herp that you have had and have been disappointed with? What happened to the parrot plan? If you could save one area of the world at the push of a button, which would it be and why? Okay, to answer the first question, I don't really think there's anything I've been disappointed with that I've actually owned. There's a lot of things that I've been surprised by and that I really enjoy that I didn't think I would. If you guys weren't around, actually about a year ago now, or a little less than a year, like 8 months or so ago, I was mentioning that I would be looking for a parrot and stuff, and I really would like one, and I think I will own one at some point in my life, but to be honest, right now is just not a very good time for a parrot that needs that much attention. I want to do a lot of traveling, I want to move to Australia, as I've mentioned numerous times, and I just don't think a parrot would be a good plan for right now. I really hope to get one in the future. I'm looking at some of the smaller ones. I believe they're called the blue-winged macaw. I'll throw up a picture up here. Those guys are really cool. Obviously the black-capped or black-headed, or I don't know if they have any other common names, but the caiques, whether it's a white-breasted or a black-cap, that's what I'd like to get as well. Yeah, that's the kind of parrot plan, I suppose. And then the last, conservation-related question that you asked, I would probably save the Choco rainforest. I was mentioning it in one of my videos in May Madness, and I've done research on it, and it is a critical biodiverse hotspot that we just need to work to protect. And thankfully, the people at Save the Choco are doing just that. They're trying to raise as much money as possible to save that rainforest. So I think that's really, really important, and that's probably what I'd go for, just off the top of my head. You guys got to keep in mind, I'm literally reading these and answering them. I'm not preparing answers long before or anything like that. It's just off the cuff. We're just going for it. Aiden Ellis asked the next question. He asks, thanks for inspiring me to get some reptiles of my own a couple years ago. They helped me through a lot in life. Awesome, Aiden. They've done a lot of the same for me. He asks, what has your experience been working at Pisces, and is it kind of what you imagined? And if you guys don't know, I work at one of the I believe it's the second, maybe third largest pet stores in the world. It's called Pisces Pet Emporium. It is massive. I do have a video on my channel if you guys want to check it out. I was going to make another one for May Madness, but never got around to it. That kind of sucks. But honestly, up to this point, working at Pisces has been a lot of fun. There is some stuff that I would change, but you know, that's work life. I mean, it's never perfect, and there's always things that you could think about to change, do a little bit better, a little bit more efficiently, but I certainly do what I can with the jobs that I get. The next question, or I guess statement, comes from Rom. He says, hey man, it's important to find yourself at this point in your life. I'm so excited for you. This is relating to the last video. So I'm thinking of keeping dart frogs. My very faves are Ufaga, but I'm scared that I'm going to mess it up. My question is, should I start easy, or should I go straight to the species that he wants to keep, which is typically regarded as more difficult? And honestly, if I'm going to answer very honestly, I would make sure you get some species before you get the Ufaga, especially if it's some of the large obligates and some of the larger, more expensive ones. They tend to be a little bit more finicky, and they just need an established system. So if you've never kept dart frogs before and you have no idea what you're getting into, they are a really cool genus, so if you're interested in them, get a couple species first and then move to the Ufaga. Another question comes from Male Okay? I don't know. Do you think that reptile species with historically difficult attitudes, such as Savannah Monitors, green iguanas, Nile monitors, are this way as a species, or do you think it's from the fact that they are rarely captive bred? I think it's a bit of both. It is kind of like epigenetically and stuff like that. It is showing that we can domesticate animals and it can happen. So the more typically you captive breed an animal, the more used to humans they get, and typically the more tame they are as well. Now, with that being said, all those species that you listed are pretty much exclusively wild caught right now, and it is very, very challenging to find captive bred ones, if at all. So I think that it's possible they could tame down if we start captive breeding them more. Just because the wild caught trade is so prolific with those, I think it's going to be tough to switch over to captive bred because there's no incentive for people to keep, raise, and breed a Savannah monitor, for example, because of somebody can find it at a pet store for 50 bucks and it's just wild caught. They don't know that, but it is wild caught. Emerson Shicey? I don't know. Asks, are you moving to Australia for good? And no, probably not. I do have a friend that said he'd be willing to sponsor me. Eric, if you're watching this, what's up? But my original plan is just to go there with a worker's visa. You can stay there for a year, extend it to 2 if you want to, and that's probably the maximum I'd stay there. I wouldn't be in Australia the whole time. I'd be traveling to like Bali and Southeast Asia and stuff like that, so yeah, that's the plan. The next question comes from James Gerlach. He says, what are the worst reptiles to keep in your opinion that are most common / semi-common? Why? What do you think should be more common? Like, people are gonna shit on me for saying this, but I honestly think bearded dragons are just not the best pets. I think there's so many cool, more interesting animals out there. I know people get so mad at me for hating on bearded dragons. I think they're good for some people. It's just I would personally never own them. I think they're overrated is basically what I think. Bearded dragons, anoles, what else? Like, what else is super common? Ball pythons, corn snakes. The milk snakes and stuff like that are pretty cool. I think those are good. I think those are just a couple of the very common species that are a little bit overrated in my opinion. I think more species like Uromastyx and dart frogs and stuff like that should be more common in the hobby. That's just me. And that's also me answering in like 15 seconds, so it's not a super well thought out answer. Alright, I'm starting to run out of battery on my camera, so I'll probably only answer maybe 1 or 2 more questions. The next question comes from Trent, the Dragon Tamer. He says, question for next week, now that you are done with schooling, have you ever been getting back into artwork at all? I know that you used to be big into it, and I was kind of wondering if you're still into it at all, or if you've lost the interest over the years. Artwork was a really huge part of my life. I love art and I've done some really cool stuff, if I could just pat myself on the back, you know. But I haven't gotten back into it yet because pretty much the end of school for me has been just as busy with May Madness, if not actually more busy with May Madness, because I finished my last final exam, I had my birthday party, and then it was May Madness. So, believe it or not, this actually takes up a ton of time, and I just don't really have time right now to kind of do artwork and stuff like that. I choose right now to spend my free time after I'm done filming and editing and stuff like that, just playing video games with my friends and hanging out. So that's kind of, I guess, the answer. The answer right now is no, but I really do hope to get back into it. My birth mom actually asked me to make a tattoo design for her, so I will probably end up doing that here shortly. And then beyond that, I don't know what the future holds. I would love to do more art. I just don't have a ton of time, or I don't set away a ton of time to do it anymore. And actually, that was the last question. I scrolled up on my phone, we're all out of questions, so I want to thank you guys all very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed May Madness. It has been a crapshoot, I suppose, but it has been a ton of work for me. If you are close to me or you talk to me on the regular basis, you know that. If not, I guess you guys can just sit back and enjoy the content. I will hopefully be able to finish off the month here. I have a couple more video ideas in my head that I'll try and execute on, but I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, click that like button. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, leave them in the comment section down below. If you enjoy May Madness and you want to finish it off with me, as well as follow me into June with some crazy adventures coming up, definitely click that subscribe button and play Ding Dong Ditch with the doorbell next to it, and that way you get notified every time I post a video. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Later.